Hey guys and girls, my name is Alan and welcome to today's gameplay commentary. So it's a Saturday and you know what that means, Uncharted 4 multiplayer.
I can handle myself, but you probably know that already.
Yes, I did. Right, so there's going to be two pieces of gameplay in this video. The first one is Bounty Hunter on the map Village, and I'm using the Mettler. And the reason why I've chosen this piece of gameplay is because I went back and I did watch through a lot of my previous Uncharted 4 gameplay commentaries, and I realized that most of my gameplays involve either the HS39, the Power Pistol, or the AK-47. And that's because a lot of the gameplay that I've used in the past is legacy footage from pretty much the start of when Uncharted 4 came out. And those are the three weapons that ruled everything basically. The HS39 is still a really good weapon, and it's really funny because I'm going through my hard drive, I'm trying to find videos. Well, I have plenty of videos, that's not the problem. I have too many videos, that's the problem. I literally have hundreds, and I'm not even joking, hundreds of gameplays, and I haven't sorted through all of them yet, but I know that a lot of them have really decent scores. So we're talking high 20s, low 30s, even some in the 40s, and I don't know if I've shared any of those with you yet, but my PB in Uncharted is in the 40s and it is mental. And I don't know when I'm going to put these videos up, probably when Uncharted 5 comes out, but they will come out at some point in the future. And it's just crazy to think that a lot of these gameplays obviously feature sort of the same weapons, which is why I don't really want to post them, because you'll see the same sort of maps over and over again, you'll see the same sort of weapons over and over again, and it gets a little bit monotonous. And while the performances in those matches are decent, don't get me wrong, you know, variety is the spice of life, and I know that as a viewer sometimes you just want to see a bit of this and a bit of that. And okay, some of my performances with the other weapons, for example the Mettler, aren't great, I'll be upfront about that, but it's just a bit different, and you'll see why I don't use these weapons, because I'm not particularly good with them. Now, the Mettler is a strong weapon. It's a semi-automatic. It almost fires as fast as you can pull the trigger. Almost, but there is a cap on it. And it's pretty accurate. However, the recoil is fairly high, and that's one of the reasons why I struggle to use it. And I don't really know why I've picked it for this match. Village is predominantly a CQC map. There are some sight lines, but mostly it's about CQC. So a full auto weapon is almost a must. And something like an SMG, a P90, or a Fossil or something like that would be ideal. But I decided to use it in the match. I can't remember why. Probably because I just unlocked it, or because it's a challenge, or maybe both. And I'm using Nadine's variant, so that's got fast reload and recoil. You can never go wrong with a recoil mod on any weapon. Some argue that you could potentially just learn the recoil pattern and go without. But, I mean, reload speed, I've never really struggled with reload speed in most weapons. I pistol swap quite a lot in this game, in Call of Duty, stuff like that. So, switching out to another weapon instead of waiting for a reload, that's never been an issue for me. Well, in Fortnite it's kind of a problem, but that's a different topic. I wasn't actually planning to go down this route of talking about mods, but seeing as I've started, I might as well finish. So, as I said, reload speed, recoil, always bonuses, but not necessarily a must. Same with extended mags. I'd put that in the same sort of category. Useful, but not essential. But then you've got things like silencer, extra ammo. These are definitely optional, and strafe speed as well. In Uncharted 4, I've said it before, it's not very potent. In Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3, if you could strafe better than any player, if you factor in lag and things like that as well, you'd absolutely dominate. And I remember discovering it for the first time in Uncharted 2 and thinking, damn, I've been missing out, and I know why everyone's been rocking it. I still remember it. In Uncharted 2, it was fleet foot and down the irons. It was better accuracy on your primary AR. And then basically you could strafe faster than enemy players, and that was so good. Like literally it was so good in Uncharted 2. And in Uncharted 3 they did bring back strafe speed, but it was not quite as potent as it was in Uncharted 2. And in Uncharted 4 they completely nerfed the crap out of it, and I can't honestly tell the difference between using it and not using it, because strafe speed isn't really that important in Uncharted 4, because you can maneuver so much better. You can roll, you can jump, and that sort of thing. So it's not as important in Uncharted 4 in my opinion. Right, so that's that out of the way. Wasn't planning to talk about it, but there you go, we've done it now. The second reason why I picked this map is because Village was first featured in Uncharted 2 multiplayer. And the reason why I've chosen it is because I'm planning to do an Uncharted 2 walkthrough. It's a bit of a stretch, but I thought I'd put it in just because I like to link things together like that. Now, I haven't actually done Uncharted 2 yet, but as of this going up, I've posted every single video for Uncharted 1 Drake's Fortune. Right, so I've just listened to that back in my head, and it doesn't quite make a lot of sense. So recently I've recorded and uploaded the entire Uncharted Drake's Fortune remastered version on the PS4 to my players channel. Now, if you want to watch the Uncharted 2 playthrough, I've already got one of those on my channel as well, so you can watch both of those back to back, all polished and up to date and everything. Or if you prefer to watch it live, then I will be streaming Uncharted 2 to my Twitch channel in the coming weeks. And the reason why I'm planning to do that, even though I've technically uploaded to my players channel, is because, as I was talking about in last week's video, I'm bringing back a series that I did do quite a while ago, and sort of on and off were doing it over the past years, Journey to Platinum. And as the name of the series suggests, I'm basically going to be trying to earn my Platinum trophy for Uncharted, or whatever game obviously that I'm playing at the time. But this time round, I'm going to do it live on Twitch, so you get to see me do every single trophy, and eventually, hopefully, earn the Platinum. So you can sort of join me for that journey, hence why it's called Journey to Platinum. And so yeah, that's something I'm looking forward to trying. I haven't started it yet, but I'm hoping to get a start on it this weekend. I would have done it last weekend, that's my intentional plan. But in the UK, it was a bank holiday weekend. And again, as I've said in the past, unfortunately, because I do work in retail, bank holiday weekends mean the complete opposite. Whereas everyone else gets like a 3-day weekend, gets to enjoy the weather. Well, we'll talk about the weather in a second. While everyone gets to enjoy some time off, you know, an extra long weekend, I was actually working. And it was extra busy because it was a bank holiday weekend. And that's the perils of working in retail. And I keep saying it, but I need to get out of it. Yada yada. I won't bore you with the repetitiveness of my laziness. I suppose then that leads me nicely onto the next topic. So in the UK, there's sort of a funny, like, it's ongoing, right? Whenever there's bank holiday weekend, we just laugh about it and say there's probably going to be bad weather, because there generally is on a bank holiday weekend. We normally get like a day of rain or something. So a 3-day weekend's only really good for 2 days, because the third day is going to have rain in it. Now, this bank holiday weekend just gone, we had a crap ton of really, really bad weather. We're talking heavy rains, thunderstorms. I think in my area we had like a month's worth of rain in a day, which is mad. I got a lift from my friend on the way home one of the days, and it was just horrendous. Like, the windscreen wipers were at max, but you could still barely see out the windscreen, and the roads were like streams. The drains just couldn't handle the amount of water going in, and it was crazy. I mean, it was kind of cool at the same time, but crazy nonetheless, right? And you sort of get worried about getting stuck in the water and stuff like that. And then on the night as well, the day before the rain started, there was some mad thunderstorms. My sister lives a bit further south than where I live, and she was telling me about how the thunderstorms and that were really bad there. And then eventually, I guess most of that moved up north, and it was just crazy. Like, the flashes of lightning were really bright. I didn't really get to look out because I was playing Fortnite at the time, and I couldn't. I sit kind of far away from my window. It's a bit annoying. I need to readjust my desk so I can see out the window. I do like, that's how I had my original setup at home. I sat next to the window, and so I could see the weather. And I'd love to see it, you know, rain or sun or snow, whatever. But in this new house, obviously, my setup is a little bit different because I have the whole room, a bigger room to move my stuff around. But I might move my setup closer to the window just so I can see the weather. But yeah, little things that I need to take care of. As well as, of course, doing the rest of my setup for my gaming room. I bought a new chair. That's the first step of many steps, and I haven't really done anything else since. But again, that's a topic for another day. Right now, so the rain came up north, and it was just mental. And that was the bank holiday. That was the bank holiday Monday, I think. It was a complete washout. But I was working anyway, so could have been worse. I can't remember. Was it? Yeah, it was moderately busy. But obviously the weather kept some people away, and it was just, I don't know. It was just cool but crazy at the same time to see that sort of weather. Okay then, so as you can see, the gameplay has now rolled into the second match, and this is recorded on a different day, and once again I'm using another different weapon. So this is the Arrowhead, one of the DLC weapons that was added to the game post-launch, and we're playing on the map Auction House, and the game mode is Plunder, not Bounty Hunter. So as you can also see, I am playing with a friend of mine, A2 Cabano, and he's a friend that I met a while ago now. This is an old piece of gameplay, and it's funny how you sort of run into the same sort of players over and over again in a game like Uncharted. The community isn't that big, and I'm fairly certain they try and match you with players sort of in the same sort of region, which is good because obviously it avoids things like lag and stuff. I remember playing Uncharted 2 towards the end of its lifespan, and we were matched with players from like Mexico and stuff, and it was just awful. So obviously, you know, they've learnt a lot since then, and they've made things for the better. But it does mean that you sort of run into the same names over and over again. And, you know, sometimes you make friends with these people and then you play together. And this is just one of those instances. We teamed up, and it's just 2 of us in a party, but we do some serious work in this game for our team. Uncharted is one of those games where having just 1 or 2 good players on a team really does make the difference between a win or a loss. Like, I've played a lot of public games where I've carried my team to victory, and I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet. I have plenty of videos to back it up if you want to see them. It's just a case of whenever I can get around to uploading them. But it's a different sort of sense of satisfaction compared to, say, a Call of Duty. In Call of Duty, one average person doing fairly well can generally carry a team through. Whereas you've got to have some sort of talent to be able to do that for a game like Uncharted, because if the opposite team are working together well as a unit, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but Uncharted is one of those games where teamwork, good teamwork is rare to find, but if you get it with pubs or with friends or whatever, you can really dominate games. And there's a few things that I'm a bit confused about. There is matchmaking, stuff like that, so playing in parties isn't always fun because sometimes you wait ages to find a lobby, sometimes you get put against full teams as well, and sometimes it just doesn't work. Like, you try and find a match with 5 people in it and you just spend ages and ages and ages waiting, eventually someone leaves, and it seems as though the smaller the party, the easier it is for you to find a match, because I think they try and balance it so that big teams play against other big teams. Obviously there aren't always that many big teams because the Uncharted community is quite small, but as I said, if it does work and you do well together, it's really fun, and it's a different kind of fun to like Call of Duty, where obviously, as I said, one average person with decent streaks can carry the team, whereas in Uncharted 4 you sort of got to have a bit of skill. I'm not trying to say you have to be an expert or anything, but you've got to have a bit of skill and know what you're doing. So when you do manage to do it, if you manage to do it, you just get a greater sense of satisfaction. That's the way I see it. And if you're able to do it with a friend, as I said, it's just me and Cabano in this game, but we carry the other players and we ruffle stomp the enemy team, and that's just the 2 of us. And that sort of partnership is really nice, really cool to have. And I have that with a couple of my other friends across a variety of different games, but it's funny though, because you don't really, as I said, I keep banging on about it, but you don't really have that sort of sense in a game like Call of Duty or in Battlefield. I don't really play that much Battlefield, but I've never really come across it. But in Call of Duty, you know, I can call in streaks, I can get like a 30-in-1 gameplay, but it's not quite the same because, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I figure it's got to be something to do with the fact that Uncharted just know how to make a good objective game mode. Like in Plunder, as I said, you have to work well with your team. You recognise when people assist you, and I would hope that they recognise when you assist them as well. Whereas in Call of Duty, if you play a domination or capture flag, whatever, because the game is so fast paced and deaths and kills come so frequently, so often, you don't really notice whether you get an assist from a teammate. You don't really get the sense of sharing a victory. You do your bit. Okay, you've had a good game. Enemy team didn't have a good game, or your teammates also had a good game, and so you both had a good game, whatever. But in Uncharted, for example, yeah, you need someone to clear the path while you're carrying the idol. You need someone to take point while you're the captain or something. You sort of rely on each other, and it's hard to explain, as I keep saying, but they sort of make it so that you appreciate the support from your teammates. You know, I play a lot of Call of Duty and stuff, but obviously the community in those games is a lot bigger. But I couldn't honestly say that I recognise any of the names that I've played with over and over again. And there probably have been a few people that I have played with time and time again, but not as frequent as obviously in Uncharted, because the community is so much smaller and obviously there's fewer people playing, therefore you come across the same faces. And as I said, you do rely on each other a lot more to get a victory, whereas in Call of Duty, you can do it yourself. A teammate can carry you, you can carry the team. You don't really need to work with other players to bring home the W, whereas in a game like Uncharted, you sort of have to do that. And that's the sort of game that I really do enjoy, and that's probably why I've spent so much time playing it. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like I wouldn't recognise people's names if I played a lot of Call of Duty or Battlefield, whereas in a game like Uncharted, because you have to rely on each other so much, and of course you spend so much time playing together, you sort of get a sense of how they play, and obviously you learn their names and their play styles accordingly. As I said, I've met players over and over again, and some of them I immediately distinguish. So I know when I first started playing, there were a couple of people that came up over and over again, and I knew their play styles. And I knew how to counteract their play styles, and some of them I did eventually become friends with, and I knew that that's how they would play if I was in a party with them, so I could do my thing, they could do their thing. But in Call of Duty and stuff like that, I couldn't honestly say. Like, everyone does a bit of everything, right? In Call of Duty, I can snipe, I can use shotguns, I can use SMGs, I can use ARs. I'm sort of an all-rounder. I know that there's some people out there who are specific to one role, but I don't really notice it. And as long as everyone does well, that's all I really care about. I don't really need to know that you're a good OBJ player. I mean, it helps, obviously, but I don't need to know that, because anybody could be a good OBJ player. Of course, knowing a player is good also works the opposite way as well. If you recognise a player that is ridiculously bad, and then they're on your team, and it's like, oh no, why game? Why have you put them on my team? So it kind of works both ways. You recognise the good players, but you also recognise the bad players. And I mean, I would hope the matchmaking balances it out, but it doesn't always do that. Sometimes you just get lumbered with a bunch of rubbish players, and there's nothing you can do about it. And as I said, because it's not like Call of Duty, one good player can't necessarily carry a team of bad players. It's very hard to do it in Uncharted. It's not impossible, but it's very, very hard to do that, and it takes some of the fun out of trying to do so. But yeah, that's all I've got time for this video. I don't really want to get into another major topic for today. Just one little final thing to talk about, though. Kind of funny little story. I was going through some old footage of me playing Uncharted 3 co-op, and I saw this name. I didn't think anything of it. And then a few days later, I was going through some Uncharted 4 co-op, and I recognized the same name in the match. And it just goes to show that that's the sort of thing I'm talking about. Like you run across the same players, even though it's been several years since these games have come out. People, you know, obviously they're drawn to these sort of games. Like I will play the next Uncharted game, they will probably play the next Uncharted game, and who knows, maybe we'll meet again. And in a similar sort of vein, I recognised people from ME3 that also played MEA. Obviously, I didn't play a lot of MEA, but I recognised some of their names. And it was just funny to think that we've all come back to play this game that we once loved. Obviously, it's a different game. So we enjoyed the former game and we played the new one. I didn't like it, but that's neither here nor there. It's just nice to know that in a few years' time, we might all meet up again. And who knows what our stories will be then. You know, people will be married, have got kids, whatever. And it's just, I don't know, I think it's really cool that the games can do that. Give you that sense of your proper satisfaction from completing something, even though it's just a game. And it's just nice to be able to meet people that you met before in the past, and suddenly it's like, oh, I remember you. You know, it's like meeting an old friend or an old colleague or an acquaintance or whatever. Right, so that's definitely all I've got time for in today's video. As per usual, if you enjoyed the content, consider tapping that button. I really do appreciate it. And as always, if you've got a thought, shout out to Jamie regarding anything I've talked about today, let me know in the comment section below. Maybe you've met some players that you haven't seen for a few years, but suddenly the next new games come out and you bump into them again. I just think it's really cool and really unique that games can do that. There's not many other instances I can think of, maybe going to a film or something, but the chance of you meeting the same person at a cinema a few years' time, very unlikely. But the fact that you can do that in a video game, I think that's really, really cool. Anyway, until next time, thanks for listening, take care, and I will see you later.
And now it's hard to breathe.